Advertisements, whether digital, on a poster, on a billboard, or even from a sales clerk, are everywhere you look. In the modern world, all of our actions are influenced by numerous advertisements. With the intense surge of advertisements throughout the world, there come psychological effects. The psychological effects prove to be in a morally gray spot and undoubtedly have an extreme impact on how we choose to live our lives in the modern world. Almost everything we own, we found through some form of advertisements. Our favorite forms of entertainment, foods, and even locations are typically found through digital mediums or physical mediums meant to catch our eyes. By standing out from the crowd of other advertisements and appealing to certain demographics, companies and products are able to become known. However, things haven't always been this way. Advertisements have been around as sort of a benign existence, where people in ancient civilizations would paint something on a wall to advertise their business, or tell certain people about their products in hope of increasing their popularity. It wasn't until the 16th or 17th century that advertisements gained traction, where the first weekly French newspaper was created. This newspaper was called La Gazette, and it featured personal ads for people seeking employment or for businesses looking to advertise their services and goods. This idea of a weekly newspaper containing business opportunities soon spread to other parts of Western Europe. Britain became a place of constant advertising, producing the first daily newspaper, the Daily Courant. Many new forms of advertising began to arise after the popularization of advertising through magazines. The most popular forms of advertising during the 17th century was through flyers and trading cards. These methods of advertising were portable and were able to remind people of certain businesses easily, and a way for markets to branch out to as many people as possible. As time progressed, illustrations became extremely common for trading cards, as they created an effect of quality and a good way for people to remember and want to go to the businesses. The next major form of advertisements occurred during the 19th century, where cheap, inexpensive, mass-produced magazines were printed in an effort to reduce the pricing of advertising. This popularization of mass production resulted in false advertising. Many companies falsely promised that their product had many benefits and brought about scams. On top of false advertisements, tobacco spiked in consumption through companies advertising a new product for rugged men, and classiness through their packaging. Throughout history, tobacco has been advertised as harmless and fun, until somewhat recent developments showed how unhealthy smoking is, and helped to halt the progress of tobacco usage. To the modern day, advertising forms such as radio advertisements, posters, television advertisements, and pop-up ads on websites have become so commonplace that we barely even notice their effects. Advertising companies utilize the psychological effects of advertisements to their fullest potential by making the adverts appeal to certain senses and certain demographics. One of the most popular techniques of advertising is sexuality and nudity. In this technique, companies make their products seem as if a desirable demographic is using the products, and draws out the feeling of sexual desire and the thought of a certain product in one action. This has been proven greatly throughout history and continues to be employed all the time for all kinds of products. The psychologist John B. Watson conducted an experiment during the early 1900s where he proved that love, hate, and fear turned to be the best and most impactful forms of advertising, as it went directly to the most powerful emotions in humans. As time has passed, advertising companies have been able to create a more realistic and powerful advertisements to instill good morals or bad habits. The advertising business continues to be a morally gray area that creates many debates on the subject. With something as commonplace as advertisements, we have reached the point where it is becoming increasingly hard to distinguish between reality or paid advertisement. With this dramatic change comes psychological effects that influence everyday actions and the majority of our habits. Advertising will not stop its continuous snowball of popularity and will shape the future generations even more than this generation is shaped. Whether this change is a good or a bad thing is up to our personal morals, and who knows, maybe it will be welcome.